Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, the Bee at LLC, and this is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. And I just wanted to come out and talk with you all a little bit about the metals pricing, uh, which would be the preferred outlet for storing your wealth long term. Would you rather be in gold, silver, platinum, palladium, osmium? What is your metal of choice? So I believe I'm going to be being joined by someone. 888 the Great, welcome in. Good to see you. 888, if you want to come up on stage, let me know. I'll shoot you over a link. We're just kind of having an open chat tonight. So anybody that wants to come in, let me know. Liberty Bleed Silver, welcome in. Good to see you, my friend. OTG, as always, welcome in. All right, I will shoot. In fact, since we've got good company in here, I'm just going to drop it in the main link here. And any of you three that would like to come on up, join, jump on, that would be great. Come on up and let's hear your opinion on the whole thing. So link is in the chat. I believe Space Miner will be joining me. Should be here already, so hopefully soon. But yeah, you guys go ahead and jump on that link and come up here and we'll chat about it a little bit. See what you guys' opinions are. Liberty Bleed says his opinion is that he's too damn broke to buy silver. Well, yeah, it's getting to it's getting to be a bit more pricey to buy into it. I do think that it is just getting ready to start actually doing its thing. Start performing pretty well. Let's see if I brought my pocket change with me. So this silver right here. Okay, we got somebody in here. Let me bring him up. The Rhenium Guru Triple A. Welcome in, my friend.
Yep, Ian talked me into it. So
Cool, glad to have you. Yeah, so this little pile of silver here, I got 4 ounces. And when I first bought this, I was holding about $50 in my hand, roughly. And I'm holding about $200 now. And it's the same 4 ounces just a few years later. So from 50 to 200. If I would have purchased all of my stack there in the beginning, I would have doubled my value. Of course, I have been steadily stacking throughout the whole thing, so I can't claim that on all my silver. Kevin Hawthorne, welcome in. Good to see you, my friend. I just dropped a link in the chat. And so if you want to hop on, Kevin, I'd love to have you on the panel. Come on up, or Liberty Bleeds, or OTG. Come on up here and let's hear what you have to say. So, yeah, let's just take a look. Let me pull up this live chart here of gold and silver. Right now, it is on the gold to silver ratio, and right here at this spike right here at about 105, I had Ian Everard on my channel, and we were talking metals, and I asked him, would you recommend people, sell a bit of gold to get into silver at this point? And I said I wouldn't be as bold as to say sell your gold and buy silver, but I would be buying silver. But he said, it'd be a good idea to sell some of your gold and get into silver. And since then, he has definitely been right. It is now got down to 81 here today or yesterday. It's now up to 82, and we dropped off a bit there. But yeah, Ian was dead on that call, and also we've got the rhenium guru here, and Ian also made a call on rhenium that he's really done well on. So I believe I'm going to be having Ian on tomorrow at about 6 p.m. So tune in to that. Truth Seeker, welcome in. Good to see you. I have dropped a link in the chat if you would like to hop up. We're just talking metal investment. You're welcome to pop in if you'd like.
Well, I was telling people when it was 109 to 1 gold, sell some of your gold and get in silver. So
Yeah. Well, you've been in it probably longer than most in the stacking community. You were buying back at what, $5 or something like that?
4 and under. But
Four.
Sal's been doing it longer than me. So Sal a lot longer than me. I think he beats me by about 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it longer than Yankee.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to come out and talk a little bit about it, and I'm surprised that I see such negativity in the community about the price. Now I understand, we'd all like it to stay lower so we can buy more, but um, I also hear like people thinking, "Oh, it's pretty high right here, and be careful buying because it might drop back." And I think that's a dangerous warning for people. I have been since I started, I've been pretty sure that, I'm not even going to hesitate till we've blown through triple digits, before I reevaluate anything. Uh,
Well, projections are, and these are the people in the know, the ones in the industry. They say silver will be between 50 and 100. In other words, 50 on the low end as a normal low, and they say as high as 100 on the high end. So,
yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's even low projection wise as well. If we were to inflation adjust the 1980 high, we'd be at 250. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, that you can't." A lot of people say you can't count the 1980s because of the Hunt brothers and the cornering of the market. And look, I just want to point out some things about that. The reason the Hunt brothers did what they did is because they're seeing, what I see and what a lot of people see in it. They knew that, there's nothing the government can do. The market in silver is so small. Now what they didn't realize was how strong the cartel that holds silver down is, and they just came out and changed the rules and
right. Yeah.
put a stop limit on it. You couldn't buy silver if you wanted to. All that they allowed was sales.
Right. But the thing of it is that's when the manipulation started, 1980 to now.
Right, and on top of that, they started selling their stockpiles into the market. And in fact, Ian has some precious metals bars and rounds from the US stockpile when they were selling it in to knock the price back down. And they also came out at that same time and started making threats and warnings. Don't you dare buy into the silver market because we're going to knock it down no matter what.
Well, the Hunt brothers also tried to corner the soybean market. So it was two things that they tried to corner: silver and soybeans. A lot of
Okay.
people don't. A lot of people never brought up, but they tried to corner two markets.
Okay. Well, that's a good, interesting point. And no, you're right. I haven't heard that. But that's a good point too. That it's just common sense in what they were doing. You look at any of these commodity markets, and that that's the big thing is when you look at any commodity market as opposed to a fiat currency that you can just snap your fingers and make appear, you know, out of nowhere, and then use that new fiat currency that was just created to buy whatever goods or services you want throughout the world. You know, that's just, it's crazy. And you know, if when we went off of the gold standard and went into this la la land, um, you know, if we would have not printed more money, not went into more wars, not, you know, ripped people off, you might have had, you know, a more steady dollar. But at this point, we've just been printing like crazy, not upholding our end of deals that we have made, seizing other people's fiat dollars that we say are safe and as good as gold. And you know, you can't you can't defy reality like that and expect to get away with it. And so, you know, it's surprising to me to see that. So that was, so you had the Hunt brothers in 1980, and then again in 2011 we hit about the same highs. Of
Well,
course,
well,
in
adjusted for inflation, it wouldn't be. It would be about
right, adjusted, exactly, adjusted for inflation, it would probably be about half of that high. But you know, we hit it again. And point being is, now look at where we're at now from 2011 and from 1980. And you know, $50 is nothing at this point. Like, this is not something that people should be coming out and saying, you know, I'm worried about, you know, the level that silver is at here. We got to be careful. You know, it might really drop. In my opinion, that is ridiculous. Now, can there be big pullbacks? Sure, of course, but they're going to be quick. They're going to be, you know, it's just a good buying opportunity for sure. But overall, I do not expect silver to get back to the 20s, you know, in my lifetime probably. I mean, on the other side of this reset and what they do with it, you know, it's hard to say. But for sure, uh, we're at the end of our fiat life cycle. And it's not only like in Weimar Germany. Um, if you go look at a Weimar Germany chart, what happened to gold? It's one of those things where the numbers get so big you can't read them. And that's where we're headed. Now, obviously it's the fiat dollar that's decreasing. It's not that the metals are going that high. But it won't just be Weimar Germany. It won't just be one little country inflating away. We are the global reserve for the world. And so
right.
now that we have dropped down to beneath gold. Gold is now, so first gold overtook the euro in asset saving value for the world. You know, we overtook the euro, and then now we've actually overtaken the dollar as well.
And the thing to remember is, if we go into a hyperinflation scenario, there's nobody to bail us out.
Exactly. And so we have you know, created this world's reserve currency. Then we went off the gold standard and just have been printing like crazy now for a while. And there's no way that we can recover from this at the point we're at. You know, the system being the way it is, you have to keep pumping in the fiat or the Ponzi scheme, because that's what it is, it's a Ponzi scheme, will collapse on itself. So it has to keep inflating. And, you know, at this time, it's going to be the whole world. All these other countries now look at, whereas the dollar was above water. You got into the dollar, you're above water, you can breathe, you can trust that your value is staying above water. You could hold on to dollars and preserve your purchasing power, at least enough that you're above water. You're not continually drowning quickly. Whereas now the only thing that has its head above the water is gold. And so we have made all time highs. Oh, there's Space Miner. Welcome in, Space Miner.
Yo, yo, yo. Am I, have you already started?
I have
Yeah.
already started. You're late.
Of course I would be.
That's
All
right.
right.
It's all
My apologies.
no worries, man. So, yeah, I was just saying, we are at a point where gold is the only thing, the only asset that countries can get into, central banks can get into. That's why the central banks are all buying gold and selling dollars. You could call it one of the you could call it buying gold, or you could call it selling dollars. It's one and the same. But they're going into gold to keep themselves afloat, to keep themselves preserving their wealth. So fiat now, all fiats, even though the dollar is the leading fiat currency, it is now underwater and dropping fast as opposed to the standard, which is gold. And you can go look at the Dixie and say, oh, the dollar is strong, even though it's actually waning quite a bit right now. But you're looking at a bunch of drowning fiat currencies. They're all below, water level. They're all drowning. They're all on their way to, nothingville. And, silver and gold are the new standard. Whether it's just a matter of the people not grasping what's going on. And gold is what it was. Gold grabs all the headlines. And yeah, gold is doing well. Gold, it's really taken off in fiat value terms. But the real prize here, what I wish that I could get people to see and understand, is that silver is it's your sure shot. It's your sure way of gaining a lot of value. They all the way back to 1980, where the thing that people say, oh, you can't look at that. Well, that's what I want to look at that. And I want people to think about that. The reason that the Hunt brothers went into it and cornered the market was because they could corner the market. They knew that there is no way out of that cornering. They would have to literally change the rules, which they did, they basically broke the law on them. And then they told them, you can't invest in it any longer, along with anybody else. No one else can invest in it. And plus, they said, we're going to sell our stockpiles into this to knock the price back down. Well, if you think about it, that's a sure tell. That's a sure sign that it was very scary for them. They had to threaten people to stay out of it, and then they had to sell their stockpiles into the market to bring silver back down. Why were they doing that? Why were they so worried about it? Well,
I think I'd answer that is that because most banks short sell silver. And so if it gets up too high, that puts a lot of pressure on the banks.
oh, exactly. It's their fiat system that they were protecting. And at that time, they were in so much better shape than they are today. And so at that time, they were able to come out, change the rules, threaten people, and sell into the market to knock it back down to levels that are people scared people out of it. They're like, okay, yeah, it's back down to $5. No need to invest in it here. The dollar's doing well, better things to invest in. And there was for quite a while better things to invest in. But you get to where we're at now, and they're not going to be able to keep silver down. And silver, for all this time, since they did knock people out of it, they did scare people out of it, it lost its monetary value, it lost its monetary understanding. People now, they don't understand that silver is money or gold is money. They really disconnected society from reality. But they have managed to print such ridiculous amounts. They've managed to force other countries out of the dollar. They've managed to show other countries, look, they can seize our dollars at any time, let alone they're printing at such fast rates that it's devaluing at a very fast rate. It's basically lost 100% of its value since they went off the gold standard. And I could go on and on to why other countries are selling treasuries, which is selling dollars, and moving into gold. Their central banks, you hear about it, are buying gold. Well, that is just proof that the fiat system that we've relied on over this time is no more. It's dead. It's kaput. Sure, the people might not understand this yet, and it's going to take a while for these other countries to get out of their dollar denominated debt and put their reserves into gold. But it's happening, and it's not going to reverse. It's going to just get worse and worse. And my point to that is, when look at the value of gold, and then once you do that, and you get X amount of gold, and the people will start to wake up to what's going on, and you get silver starting to outperform gold year to date. This year, silver is pretty much there's been a few days that it hasn't outperformed gold, but for most of this year, silver is outperforming gold, including today.
Well, what happens is, the higher gold goes, the more silver will gain on it.
Exactly. And
Because there'll be fewer and fewer people that can get into gold, so they will pick silver.
Indeed. And as gold keeps, asserting itself in this dominant role and position, silver will, as you say, start to come back into the picture. And I think once we break through this 50, the monetary aspect that has went away from silver is going to start to come back into silver. People are going to start to realize, wow, this still has a monetary value to it, both gold and silver. And the more silver starts to perform, the more people are going to start to pile into it, and the more it regains its monetary value. On top of that, we use silver in industry at this point, all of it. We are in a 5 going on 6-year deficit in silver just for factory consumption. What do you call it? Industrial. So industrial use is at an all-time high, and year on year, it's just gaining and gaining and gaining. We keep using more and more of it. So as we're already in a deficit and need more and more industrially, plus we're going to break this $50, and people are monetarily going to start buying into it. Right now, if you look, the retail investment is null to none, nothing. Like, we really stop, your average, like Liberty Bleeds was just pointing out, it's getting tough to get into silver because it's starting to, be more costly. Well, that's just gonna, make it worse. The snowball, I can't remember, there's a word that they have for this, but the higher it goes up, the more actually people want to buy it.
Oh,
And
fear of missing out, FOMO.
FOMO, okay, well, you could call it that. There's another word for it, but um, it, now for us stackers, it might be a little bit different, but because we like it down at these lower prices, and we got used to it probably buying at these lower prices, and it's great for us. So we're always going to miss those happy days, but as the monetary value starts to come back into silver, as the industrial value already has us in a deficit, guys, there's nothing but fireworks, for silver. So
Yeah, and the rumors that if it got to 400 ounce that the world's going to end, no, it wouldn't.
no, exactly. These are just statements that people say that are irrelevant. They're really irrelevant. So what now? Do I want this world where gold and silver are going to go astronomically high? No. But does that mean it's not going to happen? No. So the more you prepare for it, the more you take advantage of it, the better off we're going to be. And the real reason why I started my channel and I'm out here yakking about silver and gold is not it's not about me getting wealthy. It's not about what it's about is we're going into this. They want us to go into this new digital system where we become slaves to them, and we lose all of our rights. We become slaves. And if people would have if like Sal, like you were saying, Triple Eight, Sal's been in it a lot longer than a lot of us, and I think Sal is positioned where he could say, digital ID, take it or leave it. Totally his decision. He's not pressed into it. He's not forced to do immediately what they say, or he can't eat the next day. And so really that's what I wish people would understand, that they would get themselves a little bit of a base or some leverage, so that when they flip the switch, you're not just immediately jumping to where, how high they say to jump. You don't have to just jump right away. That's my worry, is that people don't realize what's taking place. They're not positioning themselves for it, and they're putting their trust in the government. And, they're going to be put into a place where they have no means of saying no to some of these ridiculous things that we're going to be asked to do. So for me, it's really about, getting the message out to people and getting them into some silver or gold or any metal or any goods, land, cars, food, water, the basics that you're going to need. Community, Lynette Zhang goes on. I don't know if you guys ever watched Lynette Zhang, but she's been on this, pounding on the table for quite a while about these things, and we're getting to a point where these things are getting serious and they're getting real.
Yeah, Zhang's got her own ecosystem now.
What's that now? Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Well, she's in her own little world there with what she's got, but she's leading by example. She's doing good things there. But yeah, for me, it's just it frustrates me a bit when I hear other, some of our community thinking, oh, be careful right here. You might not want to buy anything more because we're up here at these levels. I just feel like it's proving out that, people aren't seeing the real picture of what's happening. And for me, it's, the picture's pretty obvious, and these levels are nothing yet. Like silver hasn't even really started performing yet. Even though, for me, it's doing great. It's doubled its value, and it's doing what I hoped it would do. But it's just gonna get started here. This is not a top by any means. I wouldn't even say we're not even finding a floor yet. Like we're on our way to a floor that's much, much higher from here, in my opinion. So
It's 16 times what I paid for it.
16 times. There you go. And see, it's not a it's not, if we were on a level playing field, it would be a completely different story. But we're at the end of our fiat's life cycle. You can't print into infinity something that, okay, and also I want to point out something about gold and silver.
Well, hey, may I respond to some of this before we move on too quick?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
All right. We're talking about the government manipulation, and we're talking about also in the same effect this large corporate manipulation and control, and why the digital dollar or any currency or fiat for that matter, why it's important for them to maintain that struggle. And one of the things I don't think we hear enough about is seigniorage, or seniorage, however you want to pronounce it.
Okay.
Where the government, the people forget that currency fiat is a product in itself. It is like unto a product on the shelf. Okay. And what I mean by that is that the mints literally make money on the printing of money. So if it costs a nickel to print $1, then they have a 95-cent seigniorage, right?
Right.
Which means they made that 95 cents on you buying that dollar instead of buying something else, whatever it is, right? And that's the big game here, of why they want to maintain that control and why they're okay with the debt, because these guys need a bailout too. Okay. Like if any business with a product on the shelf, knows that they need to sell their product. And when they sell their product, it needs to convert into another form. Well, if you are selling, I hate doing this, but quote unquote money, then you're going to need another type of money to back it up, something to convert into, right?
Yeah. I like
And
to use currency as like
well, right, but I used it for that's why I said I
okay.
hate doing this, use the big quotes and stuff, but
Sure.
but the point is that what they are selling is quote unquote money. That's what they're advertising it as. You see what I'm saying? They're
Right.
advertising this product, this paper, this little copper round as money. And they're saying, if you trust in our product, then buy our product and use our product. And as long as everybody uses our product, everything will run great. But every time they sell you that, well, what if they're already printing the currency? Then it's not like they're making more currency. When we say there's a 95-cent seigniorage on that, that's the spread. That's the difference in what they sold it to us from what they produced it to it. But the fact is that seigniorage isn't captured in more currency that they just printed. No, it's captured in a true value, and a hard value, a hard asset. And that's where I think this is really important for us to really denote. Like people need to get out of this idea that currency is money. They're being sold this counterfeit idea, this idea that this product that's being released is money.
It's a
Because
promissory note.
true.
It's
And
a
it can
promissory note. That's what it is.
exactly an IOU, right?
And
But
I owe you nothing. Yeah.
but they are making money on this because
Or
they're not holding the value in the same currency they're printing, because that would be like uberly stupid. So they're holding these values, the masters of the system are holding these values in other hard tangible goods.
of course.
And so I kind of think it's one of the real key positions to our understanding to really tackle these issues, keeping that in the back of our mind. and trying to get the public aware to this. Like, you're just being sold another good. Well, you're saying you should buy this good. They're saying you should buy this good, and the difference is what good do you want to buy with your time, with your time and energy? And that's kind of where I'm falling on the matter.
Yeah, and you also have to understand the life cycles, right? Like of fiat currencies, and understand that right now we're at the end of our life cycle of currency. Like that's key. And another thing I want to point out, just to kind of give a big overall picture, is gold and silver have been natural money for thousands of years. And there's always an empire that pops up. Now, when you have like the Roman Empire, they're a famous example of them debasing their currency, where they mixed other non-precious metals in with their precious metals until a point where there was basically no precious metals left and their empire crumbled. But other empires spring up and they run on gold and silver, and they're really strong and doing well until they start not being able to afford things, and they'll move into a fiat currency. And that fiat currency, of course, will run its 50 to 80-year life cycle, crash, and generally that empire crashes with it. But what I want to point out about the bigger picture is gold and silver remain a natural money throughout thousands of years because of what they are, because of their intrinsic value. They don't rust and corrode. You can't get rid of them. If they melt, they're still there. You can't make that value go away. However, there's only so much of the value there. You can't, if you to get more of that value, you need a pick and an axe and to find it, and it takes a lot of work to get it out of the ground. Therefore, you're restricted to a point. And what you don't want to happen, like I've thought about, like with getting Space Miner or Triple Eight, some of you other members who understand money up here, and have a discussion on, should we even is there something we can do to not have money? Because if you look at all of the wars throughout these thousands of years, it's not that the money is the problem, but it's that corruption, greed gets the best of whoever has a bad heart, and they get corrupt and they start doing, illegal things to gain more power and more money.
Centralized systems are centralized power.
And and so eventually your government gets control, and they get corrupt, and they start wars that they shouldn't be starting, as to keep their power. And if you're on a gold and silver standard, you can only spend so much, and only have so many troops out at war, only buy so many bombs. It restricts you. What you really don't want is for a corrupt government to get a hold of a money printer where you can just print value out of thin air. Or, it's not that you're printing value out of thin air, it's that you're printing a paper that looks the same as everybody else has in their bank account, and therefore it steals the value from everyone else to give a little bit to them out of thin air.
I think Nixon wanted to go off the gold standard because of the Vietnam War.
Sure, exactly. And my point there is, that's why I like gold and silver, is because it keeps you in reality. The second you go off the gold or silver standard and into la la land, you can print and print and print, and until the people figure it out, you have a magic money hat, and you can make as many wars as you want, buy as many bombs as you want, kill as many people as you want, and it makes you feel really powerful. And
as long as the zeros and ones say it's there, right?
Right, and it makes the population very poor and poorer and poorer and poorer until the gig is up and people figure it out. And hopefully that's where we're getting closer to, because I hate that little old ladies work their whole life, and they put these dollars under their mattress or in the bank, and don't realize that they're losing value at an extremely fast rate at this point.
Well, but gold is only what it is because people perceive it to be valuable or the most
Well,
valuable.
but it's not just that. Okay, and see, here's my point is that, like, my in-laws are here, and I was talking to them about this, and they're from Russia, and we were talking about thousands of years and this same system, the same cycle where war springs up over and over, and empires crumble and crumble, and greed is in every one of them. I'm like, well, can we just get rid of gold and silver? And he's like, well, then how do I trade my beans here on my plate for your soda because I'm thirsty? How do we make this trade? That's what brings us back to gold and silver, right? Is because this is the most liquid tradable commodity on earth, and it doesn't corrode or just vanish or spoil or mold. That's why we don't use wheat as money, because it goes bad after a certain amount of time. Gold and silver is the only thing that will last for thousands of years. I have an ancient coin right here from thousands of years ago, still in great condition, still the same as it was, same weight, same everything. Actually, it's a lot more valuable than it was then, but it would at least still have its silver intrinsic value there. So, it's and that's why we need money, because it makes things tradable quite easy, and you don't get ripped off when you get real money. You can take that and buy whatever other good you're after. So it's not that
Yeah,
money.
dude, I've said before, like, look, I do not oppose a currency. I do not oppose currency. But what I would like to see is a direct value tied to my currency. Like, I understand maybe we don't want to break up, gold into these super teeny tiny fractional amounts, a penny's worth of gold is like
Like gold backs.
well, I mean, even a goldback's got a few more than a penny,
Mhm.
and
The same with cryptos. I don't
Well,
I don't mind cryptos if they were backed with gold.
right. Well, see, we have all this, but the key, like you're saying, is backing it with something of real value.
yeah, but at the end of the day, it's again, we're still establishing that you want your currency backed by money because, like, look, every IOU needs returned and every debt needs paid in order for a currency to be a stable system. And when debt is the overwhelming driving force, then obviously that's backwards, and it's because we can't pay our debt. And so how do we do it? We inflate the shit out of it so that that dollar can spread thin enough to be a lot of dollars now, to like, because we can never pay a debt in value. We can only pay it in the currency. And that's our problem. In the
Yes.
States right now. We can only pay it in currency, but not in value.
Yeah, well, that's a huge point. See, we haven't actually paid a debt off since we went on to the IOU nothing system. And that's why we have such turmoil at this point, and you see these, nations going to war over such things. Now, do I have a problem with a gold backed currency? No, if you could actually keep it legit and real. The problem with currencies being backed by something real is they usually end up getting cheated down the road. That's why a lot of people would say just go with gold and silver. And here's the thing, you say, well, I don't like carrying heavy things around. A dime, a pre-64 dime will buy a couple gallons of gas. That is not, that's not a lot. You can take this silver at $50. You take a couple of these and you bought your groceries. That's not outrageous. You can take a piece of gold and buy a whole grocery store now. I mean, so it's not as crazy. But whether, I wouldn't have a problem with a gold backed fiat if we could keep it legit. But whatever it is, it has to be something of real value. It can't be just, oh, I'll just print them out of my magic money hat and here you go. There's your payment. That is the most corrupt, ridiculous thing that has, to come to mankind in I don't know how long. Like someone was saying the other day, it makes witches and warlocks and stuff look like they were, child's play. This is to be able to print a piece of paper and say, I can buy anything in the world, depending on how many zeros I put behind that one, is just insanity. And yet that's what is taking place right now. So anyway, all of that to say, at this point, being that we're at the end of our life cycle of currency and that we're the world's reserve standard being this currency, and that nations are getting off of it, people are starting to wake up to it, we are going to go into this hyperinflation. And therefore, gold and silver at silver at $50 isn't even getting started yet. We haven't, these numbers are just, yeah, they seem a lot to us, but you see, having it is so important. You're scared to get rid of your fiat to get into this. But if you just stay in your fiat, this will get out of your reach so fast, and then you have no value. See? And I just did a video. I didn't release it, but I recorded it talking about the mainstream news and how they come out when gold is where it's at now. You'll see little mainstream news clips where they say, now is the time to go into your drawer and find those your broken necklaces or your earrings that are missing a stud or what, and take that and sell it.
Yeah, they just want everybody to exit, man.
Right. And see, but if you don't understand the bigger picture of what's going on, that sounds like a good idea. And you take the one thing in your house that has value and you give it to someone else and they give you this back. The most devaluing, the quickest devaluing thing that you could get your hands on. You give the most valuable thing you can get your hands on for something that is the most devaluable thing that you can get your hands on. And the public feels like that they're doing something good there without realizing the bigger picture of what's happening.
Well, if they use it to pay off debt, it kind of is a good thing.
Yes, if you use it to pay off debt and you understand what's going on, it can be a good thing. I do agree with that. But the better thing to do is if you don't have to have something that you need paid off right away, you go scrounge around your house and you find what little fiat you can and you put it into gold. Because in the long run, then that's getting you more and more purchasing power at the grocery store on a daily basis. See? And something that a lot of people aren't understanding about the value increase of gold and silver is all of the world's fiat that is devaluing at a rapid pace needs to find some type of asset that is not devaluing quickly. And eventually everybody figures out the very best one for long-term value storage is gold and silver.
Yep. The thing to do in that scenario, you sell the broken jewelry, gold jewelry, then you buy silver with it. Then you
Yes.
that's a real smart move.
Yes, that would be the smartest move. I agree with you, Triple H. And that's why I'm also saying right now, guys, silver is just this asymmetric bet that you can't beat it right now. I shouldn't say that. You might get something that outperforms some crypto that outperforms it for a day or whatnot. But in the long run, silver's where you're going to want to be. It just has so much potential gain right now with so little loss. Sure, it came down $2 in 10 minutes today, but it's already back up $1. It has so much further, and it's not that it's just that this is going down so fast, but silver and gold, but silver even more so, will increase in value at some point much faster than your groceries are going up in value. Even though your groceries are going to continually go up in value, it's not that, again, it's just that your
Cost.
dollar is going down.
Go up in
But
cost. You mean cost, that value. It's
Well,
cost.
yeah, that's where we're talking about like the difference between your purchasing power versus your value stabilization. You know, because like at some point it's just wealth preservation or store of value, but when it starts making you money, you know, and gaining you that purchase power, now it's an investment, you know. And so
yeah,
I think and I think we're beyond, I'd like to say we're beyond an inflationary match, you know, or not beyond, excuse me, we're approaching an inflationary match.
yes, yeah. Actually,
Is what
yeah,
I'm
silver is
trying to say.
just now, silver is just now catching up to inflation. I mean, it's doubled in value since I got it, but if you look at a lot of the groceries, they have doubled since I started getting into silver as well.
I don't think we're at store of value quite yet.
No, not yet, but at some point it will start go it will be exponential.
Yeah, exceeding store value and going into purchasing power, into
Yeah,
asset mode, you know,
yes.
investment mode,
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
But also beware, the government will probably only allow silver to get to a certain number, and they'll probably only allow gold to get to a certain number, and then they'll probably freeze the markets.
Now, what do you think about that though internationally? Because that
See,
they
yeah,
might be able to freeze it in house, but I mean they can illegalize
no,
the
no,
carry transport trade. But
see the Shanghai exchange, guys. The Shanghai exchange is saying hell no to the LBMA.
yeah, we'll take it at any premium, any cost.
Yep, and they're going around and they're buying up the silver and they're at Dore and saying, "Don't worry about cleaning it up. We'll pay a premium for this dirty silver and we'll clean it up ourselves." And so, they're setting up the Shanghai exchange, and the reason all this stuff is happening because they know the gig is up, and they know they can't trust the dollar because what did we do with Russia's dollars? We just grabbed them and took them, and so we can do that to any country, and so they know that the gig is up, and they know that reality is going to win out in the end. And reality is, gold and silver are that natural money for thousands of years. We can't get away from that because otherwise we have this to rely on, and we know that's not a thing. So, OC Stacker, welcome in. Hey, if you want to pop on the panel, you're welcome. I'll drop the link in here again. Anybody's welcome to jump up here that wants to. 79, jump on up here if you'd like. Love to hear your take on things. Or you can just give Nickel a hard time, either way.
If she jumps up on here, I'll be so shocked I won't be able to say anything.
I have my doubts about that, Nickel. But
B, I was digging earlier, like we were talking, and I went to digging on YouTube for the oldest silver videos I could find, and one of the biggest struggles I was seeing in their minds, these aren't my struggles, this is just what I was seeing put out in the earlier days, was discussing, that getting in, getting out, like it was taking so long for silver to do anything up or down, and
yeah,
and there was like very few like good exit opportunities that were like striking contrast and stuff. So there was a lot of sentiment I found in the history of people not considering this a long-term asset,
Same with gold. Same with
or a
gold.
short-term.
Gold was at the same price forever when I first started.
Yeah,
yes.
in fact, silver had a vastly higher performance than gold ever did. for the longest time. Like, we have a cup and handle. You know what I mean? Gold doesn't. We have a multi-decade cup and handle. Gold doesn't. You know, and that was kind of what really struck me, because a lot of this stuff is outside of my generation, of understanding. I've only been around for so long for this, you know, and so, today I was just finding it very striking, because I was going, oh wow, no wonder people felt a certain way. We saw what silver could do, and we saw how silver could be manipulated.
Yes.
And so I'm sure there was a lot of very jaded generations, and
Yes.
but what was with the excitement of silver over gold? You see, because gold never garnered that kind of excitement until much later, where silver struck it right away. You see,
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, maybe from our standpoint, I mean, there was the big run up in the 70s, right, where that I wasn't even around for in gold. But and then at the end we had the 80 run up in silver that was ballistic. But yes, to that point, and that's the narrative that I feel has gotten stuck into our community, that I think has become a hindrance at this point. Because now if we went back in time, I would be in agreement with them, because people got a lot, for those that bought in at 50 in 1980 and then had to watch it get slammed down to $5 where it remained
ow,
for another
ow.
20 years,
I bet
you'd
that
be
crumbled businesses and industries, and I
right.
bet it crumbled all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah,
I
you'd
know,
be hating.
I know this. In biblical times, gold and silver really were treated pretty much like equals.
Yeah, and so there's that period, like from since we went off the gold standard, there's been a few fluctuations, but after 1980, when they really put a kibosh on both of them, that sentiment came in, that how dare you say to buy silver? I bought it at $50 and it's been at 5 for the past 15 years. Don't ever tell me to buy it. Just hate. I mean, you got hate for talking silver up for a long time. And I think,
Mhm.
and understandably so. But I think that's where this overall sentiment has stuck in our community, and people are scared to.
But the education never carried down. It was more like stigma and dogma, than it was an actually educated decision, because times changed since then. Industry has changed since then.
Well, the dollar is what's changed, slash, like you say, slash
Additionally,
industry. Yep.
yeah.
So exactly. We're at the end of our dollar's life cycle, and we're at a point where silver has never been needed so much in industry.
Yeah,
We've
and you spoke to this about the normalcy bias, you know,
yeah.
when people suffer a normalcy bias of thinking just because it operated this way for a long time, that it will continue to operate that way. And yeah, exactly, LBS. Jaded boomers, you know.
Right.
But but they kept that sentiment, and they kept those reasons, and they adapted those reasons, but they never developed any new reasons. You see what I'm saying? Because the newer reasons couldn't be carried. Like I liked what Nickel was speaking toward, and it's the same thing that kind of applies today. That gold and silver were treated as equal, near equal for a long time, because silver was more difficult to process, and so we're talking about a rarity through production, maybe not a natural rarity, but a rarity through production, right? Creating that value. And now this is carrying forward. We're seeing a repeat of this history now, that we're of a need, a necessity, an implicit equality developing, meaning, like we had discussed, we don't need as much gold per soldering point per film as we used to. Every year we need less and less and less gold for our technology, and gold is being replaced in some aspects, Meanwhile, silver is developing more needs,
Yeah.
and it is still a more difficult product to process and
Hey,
recover.
that's another great point that I want to hit on. That it's known as an epithermal metal, meaning it's right up close to the surface of the crust of the earth. And so we have found all our big silver mines that are easily grabbable. And so, as silver starts to go up in price and the monetary value starts to come back into it, people start to run into it, industry is going to need it. We found the big epithermal deposits at the top already, and to fire up new mines is going to be a long process. So, like, again, the amount of spring loaded pressure under silver is just
Well,
ridiculous.
and then silver, you lose silver. We're losing silver every day from such small uses that you can't be recycled. So
Exactly.
you're really you got to replace that. So silver's got to be replaced. Gold doesn't. Gold, there's more gold every day than it was the day before.
And gold is very easy to recover. Oh my goodness, it's easy to recover. Because and in all the spots we use gold, most of the spots we use gold are easy to recover spots too. It's not like silver. Silver is, can be used in alloy form, and alloys can be difficult to recover from the sheer amount of volume you have to process just to recover a small amount of alloy.
Right,
When an
more
alloy
expensive.
is doped at 1%, and that's a heavy dope on an alloy, 1% silver, goes into this alloy, right? Like a nickel, a silver nickel alloy, right? So they might use like 1%, let's just say. But 1% on an industrial level is a shit ton of silver. That's a lot of freaking silver. But guess
Lost.
what it is? It's a lot more nickel that we would have to then process to recover the silver out of. We'll never it's not worth it. Now some nickel refineries could be pulling enough silver to make it worth their while, but it'll never be worth it to go after the silver, right?
Right, it's lost. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I spoke that correctly.
Yep, yep. Yep. So gold is up 22% in 6 months. Let's see what we got for silver here.
Probably 28% for silver.
38.
38. All right.
39. Woo. 39.4%. Almost 40% in 6 months.
Wow. What are we on just a month? What's it done in a simple month?
Almost 15, 14.5.
That is
It
incredible.
would be 15 probably. Well, I suppose it's taking the high, but yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it got to 48, and then
Yeah. Yep.
then it dropped big time after that. So
Can
they
we
knocked
take a
it
look
back.
at that on the all time, please? And yeah, there we go.
And that takes us back to about 1970. That was good few years before I was in the game.
I think 1970. I think it was about $1.70 an ounce. I think something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep, $1.70. You're right. Yep.
Now
Yeah,
go
I've
look
been
at
around. I've
gold.
been around for a while. Sorry.
Now remember where these high points are, right? And remember this scaling. Now go look at gold, and we're talking about a different response. Gold all time. That's what I was talking about earlier. Look at that.
Yeah, I know it.
That's a very different response. Silver is a performer.
Well, silver had a couple of spikes.
High demand.
Right, and see, we haven't even got into even close to spikiness yet. Like that's why we're a steady, slow incline, right? Well, maybe not that slow, but we're pretty steady. This isn't one of those spikes. We haven't even started performing yet in silver, and as you can see, when it does get into a spike, it gets pretty spiky.
And every day there's something invented that needs silver.
Well,
So just more products every day. There's probably a new product coming out that has to have silver.
And
Yes.
gold is a big, expensive market that doesn't react as quickly either. It's hard to affect the gold market. Like big things have to happen for the gold market to be like really influenced, you know. So
Mostly panic. You need
yeah,
panic.
mostly agreed. But
Well,
silver can be brought on by any kind of an industrial demand or political demand, you know, and boom, it's bought the frick up because it's price accessible, meaning everybody can get their grubby little hands on it and have a reason to use it.
yeah, for now, you better. That's what I wish people would understand. Like, don't be afraid to still get into silver. It's got so much upside left. And the scariest, worst thing about it is this has, believe it or not, even though it's lost basically 100% of its value, this fiat still has so much downside left to it.
Five
And
year
that's
bull run.
another reason why they bash it down. Silver try to keep it artificially low price. It's for industrial. It's for the industry, so they can get it cheaper.
Silver spikes. I like that. Yeah.
We are in a 5-year bull run in silver. Yeah, we're in these aren't normal cycles by any means. This is the end. We've never had this system set up that we have right now, to my knowledge anyway. We closed our gold window and went on to a fiat standard as the global reserve. And so now that all these other nations are getting out of selling our treasuries to buy gold, this is a Weimar, except it's worldwide. And so all of that value has to come back into gold and silver. So these numbers are going to be crazier than anything anybody thinks, probably. So, and definitely, in my opinion, that's kind of why I'm out here right now making this point. I am surprised to see the amount of negativity from our community about, these metals being at this price. It makes me think that other people are just not understanding that we're at the end of our fiat life cycle. And so this is not normal games. This is not even though I believe you're right, OC, about this being, it'll definitely be a bull market for the next fight. I have no doubts about that. But, it's going to be on a level and a scale that we've never seen before. The world has not seen before.
It's more accessible than ever to the whole world.
It is exactly. And we've never been on this fiat experiment where the whole world thought, let's see if fiat can work. And it's not like the whole world decided. We Americans decided, let's see if this fiat thing will work. And the rest of the world just had to say, okay, let's hope they keep good books. And of course, it didn't take us long to prove them wrong on that, though we weren't going to do that. But so we're like in a position where, this is never. All these nations have to get back into this value, which was originally gold. So it's all got to come back into it, and this could be crazy. So
Yeah.
we definitely ain't nothing to worry about it at $50. That is that if you went back to the 1980 $50 peak that we had, would be $250 inflation adjusted today. So, and when we get to that, we're still not done. That was just
right. It could get to 400, and if it gets to 400, the world's not going to end.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we already got our problems. We still have problems, but it ain't like the system's going to collapse if it gets to 400.
Exactly. Thank you for that point, Triple Eight. I agree. And these ratios. See, we could get back to we could definitely get back to our old ratios, or even the people that talk about 1-to-1, and a lot of people laugh them out of the room. It's not quite as much of a laughing matter as you might think, because we don't use gold like we do silver. And
a natural occurrence is only a 1-to-8. Natural occurrence alone, 1-to-8.
Right. But we use it all in so much more in industry. See, so that even that little 1-to-8 could be eaten up by industry / all this monetary demand that's going to come into it
in a moment.
Exactly. So this there's a lot
so
of room in silver, guys.
the ratio will get to at least 20-1, if not 15-1.
Exactly. Yep, Alistair McLeod was just on today, and he's a banker guy, and he would be very conservative on these numbers, and he says 30-1, for sure. So
Well, what was the lowest GSR? We looked it up earlier. It was it was around 15, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they said it at who was it? A famous guy tried to. It was like not Michelangelo, but one of these Renaissance guys tried to set it at like 15-1, and it's been set by kings and stuff at that rough ratio, 15-1. But let me pull up the chart here.
Yeah, no, I love ratios as like a method of interpreting the data, right? Like, because you can kind of count on the ratios to balance out, like, hey, is this good or bad data, right? And so, like, right away, like, the ratios I like to calculate in my mind is going to be the natural occurrence of the metal itself, followed by the production occurrence, because like, for example, there's some metals that could be 8,000 times more abundant than gold, yet could be 100 times more rare in production, right? And then you still have your trade values of those metals, which is like where we say gold, silver, but that applies in like a bajillion directions anyways. And so, like, when you start dealing with those kind of ratios, and then you start dealing with your economic ratios, like, what does Ian always say? We're a deficit ratio of about 1 to 60 on our dollar. He thinks our dollar should be worth about 60 times more by this point. Since we've gone off the gold standard, we're about, that our dollar should be worth about 60 times more than it is right now. Or no, it was like an ounce of silver should be worth about 60 times more.
That makes more sense. Okay.
Well, it's like this: if Mexico mines out, and the next year,
yeah, right.
Then you got a 15-1 ratio, probably.
No
well, Mexico is Nickel. You're dead freaking on, because Mexico's recently kind of announced that, like, look, we're down to our immediate reserves of about 28,000 tons is their immediate reserve, like, on hand, and they're looking in ground at maybe another 31 available over the next, like, 5 to 10 years, possibly, that are directly, like, immediately available that they could start spitting out. And then after that, they're into exploration, which is, projecting them 15, 20, 30 years out in some cases. So they are mined out.
So this all-time chart only goes back to 1970, but it was at 18 in 1970. Gold to silver ratio 18.
I mean, which says if we were to return back to our kind of our original standard, that puts us at least in 18.
Yeah.
If we got anywhere close to start.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that monetary demand will come back in from worldwide, plus all our industry. There's some major fireworks left under silver.
And again, like Nickel said about, like, Mexico, we've only got so many resources available to us, and so who's our primary go-tos right off the bat? Mexico and Canada. Well, anybody checked on our relations with them lately?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they're taking our phone calls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
it could even like there's add some conflict in between us, Canada, and Mexico, and then think about the numbers. Like, this is if there's no drama between Canada, Mexico, other countries, which is likely that, I mean, like we're all saying, that path is looking pretty grim as we speak. So
And our
America has
positions in
a lot of
Africa.
silver. We have a lot of silver. We would probably be a top 5 in silver. We won't mine it. We won't do it. Alaska's loaded with it. We won't mine it. And it'll take how long? 17 years to get a mine going? If we
well, that's it.
Man, 20 to
It-
start. Yeah, just before we're even ready to start putting a shovel down.
Yeah, once we hit some certain numbers, we'll start mining it, but it'll be a long time before that gets on the shelf.
A national emergency, we could maybe put a project together in 5 years. Have something spitting out in 5 years.
But we always wait until it's too late. We're never proactive. America's not a proactive country.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Nickel, we probably might look at things differently, and that's fine, but I mean, we are so unproactive, I think it's purposeful. So that's just me.
Well, we're trying to react to the rare earths right now. And now at the elk, I think it's like the elk mine in Nebraska, they're starting to develop the resources necessary to process rare earths, and like I was talking with B about it earlier about like scandium being one of them. I don't know if you all saw on the news, scandium hit the news. It's this ultra critical resource. And now we're fighting to get our hands on this, because there's not much of it being produced, and we're not the ones producing it, right? And so they're like, well, we have to, but it's still, I mean, they're just talking about it. It's going to take years of project development, years of legislative development, years of getting the money together, years of project planning, all the industrial architecture needing to be in place.
Yeah.
We can't forget the salamander and the rare toads that we're going to keep replace. We got to move them somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's
they ain't
what
gonna
we're
let you.
now. There's a whole lake in California that they're like, man, I think it's like a lake out there. They're like, if we drain this lake, we got a lot of resources right here. You think California is going to let you drain an entire freaking lake, and then start scouring the ground, and putting up giant industrial facilities, and then even if they allowed it, what company is going to pay the money to operate in California?
Yeah, there's going to be some big changes coming, for sure. Yeah, Welchco. Yeah, the thumbnail. Yeah, that's my.
Yeah, no, it's another factor in the price of metals and other resources. It's the environmental movement. Definitely, that makes everything higher because they do not want 1 pound of earth moved. I mean, that's just the way they are. They want to keep everything like it is.
Right.
Even though in mines, pretty much, we've mined out somewhere, we've filled it in, planted trees. Not good enough.
But they usually turn out real nice in the end. A lot of these turn out real nice. Colorado does a terrible freaking job. Oh my goodness. It's like Southern Colorado, like every freaking year, it's another mine overflow or something, and it's always the government screwing it up and spilling out a bunch, like down in our area. Like it happens all the time. There these mine spill outs. Well, these governments come in and shut down these mines, which, mind you, are actively containing and dealing with these issues, these bio issues, right? So they come out and shut down these mines. They're like, oh no, this is too dangerous. This is it's too dangerous to life around. So we're gonna have to shut down your mine. And then they don't know how to take care of it. They don't have the resources to take care of it. And then it ends up being these big old disasters that ultimately they created because they're not letting people run it. Whereas if somebody was there, these are problems that are mitigated. But they stop, they shut them down, create these big old eco disasters, and then they point their fingers at the eco disasters, and they'll be like, that's why we don't allow anything,
Yeah.
And And it's pretty twisted. Everybody sees it clearly around here.
Yep, self-prophecy. But you know, it's like these foreign countries, these mines. They have like no safety protocols there. People get the mine, they collapse on people, everything. If they get unionized, then look at the extra cost it'll cost the mine then. I don't know. Will union ever come in? I doubt it. Not with a dictator. He won't. But
Yeah, OTG, I find that hard to believe. That's like a what do you say to that? What do you say? You went the opposite way anyway.
what did Liberty see on TikTok? He said it's true, Nickel. What with all the frogs and the lizards? Oh, the salamanders? I could take care of that. I'll just step on one of them. I said, "You say it's the last one? Problem solved." Whoops.
Dude,
We can start mining now.
Dude, I was on California on the Dixie fire. It was big fire. And yeah, speaking of salamanders and lizards and stuff, no, California took like extreme measures like to protect these certain zones of habitat and stuff. But the problem is every time that they do that, it's actually creating a more dangerous environment for that very critter, because like, again, like they won't let anybody like prescription burn or anything. And so it becomes this unmitigated mess.
Right.
Same way with their fires. They don't get the debris and stuff out from the trees and all, and then that fire spreads like crazy.
Yeah, but they're always protecting some little salamander or something that, it's kind of crazy, but they're protecting it from the problems they created in the first place.
Well, I have a theory on that, as far as evolution and everything else, and that is, if one animal goes extinct, guess what? That just means another predator and a similar predator just has more to eat, and then they increase their number. So, that's how I look at it. I mean,
yeah, anybody that believes in evolution, like, I'm not being offensive, but anybody that believes in evolution, quit complaining about evolution happening. When a person whacks another person or whacks another species or a culture, or where they destroy some emu or salamander, like, why are you complaining? It's just evolution at work.
Right. So instead of having bears, coyotes, and everything, you might just have bears and something else. I mean, but they'll still do their job. Life goes on. So
yeah, I mean, I grew up on a ranch, and it's funny because you watch. It's like it's, I don't know, like a clock or whatever, but the rabbit population will just increase to where they're just, you got to about step on them every time you take a step, and then suddenly the fox explode in population to eat down the rabbits, and then suddenly the coyotes explode to eat down the fox, and then it flops over again and your rabbits take back. It's just a cycle like that. That's just normal
Yep.
What you see out there.
Yep.
But okay, well, cool, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to come out here and talk a little bit about the gold and silver and the end of our monetary life cycle, and don't be scared of these prices. Sure, I wish it was lower too, and we could buy it, more at the lower price. But we got to be.
I think silver is low. I think silver
really exactly. Yeah. But we have to live in the reality of reality, which is, like Nickel says, it's actually still low, and the dollar is going to continue to devalue quickly. So these prices are only going to go up. So don't let them scare you out of it, because it's where you want to be, and as soon as you get into it, you preserve that value that otherwise is going to flee from you if you stay in this.
Look at Liberty Southern. Trust me, Nickel has seen species. That's right, and I sure miss those big lizards, those dinosaurs. I sure miss them.
Yeah, where do you think lizard people come from, man?
Yeah.
Nickel's in the chimp stage in 79 says.
Oh, no. This has evolved.
All right, cool guys. Well, I appreciate you guys coming up on the panel with me too. Everybody in chat, thanks for coming and hanging out. If anybody wants to leave off with anything, I got something I got to do this evening, so I got to get off here pretty soon. But go ahead and put in your last thoughts, and we'll wrap it up.
I just want to ask, when you going to have Ian again?
We moved it from this week from Wednesday to this Friday. So
Yeah, everybody was concerned about you. We all were talking. We said, "Man, where's LLC? He hadn't done much this week." And
yeah,
then you did your Saturday show. I said, "Well, he's living because he did the Saturday show."
yeah, I've actually been pretty. I'm still stuffed up and stuff. I was a little bit sick, and then
You
Ian
got company. You had company come in.
Yep, I got company. Ian had his birthday Wednesday, and we decided to move it till Friday. So tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., I'd love to all see you all back here. We'll have Ian on for another great show. So yeah, that got moved till Friday, and we have a big announcement. We're gonna be representing Osmium down in New Orleans at the investment conference. So that should be fun and upcoming.
All right, now you can announce who bought your cylinder with the bullets.
Right. That's still good info yet to bleed out as well. So lots of fun.
I missed it because I guessed Tiger, and apparently it's not Tiger, so I missed my prediction.
How do you know it's not Tiger?
Oh well, maybe it is, but you kind of. I thought I asked him, but I don't think he ever. He don't answer me half the time anyway because I make fun of his gloves. But Tiger gloves. But I was wondering. I would just predict it was him. It just made so much sense to me. But
yeah, it's not a bad guess. I'll give you that anyway.
And you did kind of laugh about it. Kind of, smiled and laughed. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. All right, cool. You got anything you want to leave off with there, Space Miner?
I guess. Do you feel like you covered your point?
Yeah. I think I got the basics one. The basics of it out. Just don't be. Well, look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture. You gotta live in reality, right? And we've been living outside of reality is kind of another big point. Like we as a society we've been conditioned, trained, schooled to live outside of reality, and reality is going to start to come back into play. So I think, just start working towards reality, open your eyes, pay attention, and reality will show itself. And I think that these numbers are only going to continue, which should, open your eyes to that reality as well.
We know for sure silver's going to get to at least 100, it could get to 400. And so if you base it on that, this price is pretty cheap.
Still cheap, exactly. That's a great point. That's what I'm pointing out.
We are so early. We have not even made it to the correction crossover point yet.
Not even close. Yep.
We're just approaching the very tip of the cup and handle.
Right. Another good point. Yep. I'm not looking at this from a charts angle, but if you go look at the chart, that's a great point, Space Miner. Yep.
And on top of that, there's, these prices when everybody's cheering while gold's going up, I'm kind of cringing a little bit because that's our dollar going down.
Yes.
And we have to remember that, it's a different price for different people across the world, man. And so this is our dollar crashing, and this needs to be our hedge against our dollar. And we've seen a lot of nations in the people that are living today. There's people here living today that have seen the rise and fall of 2-3 currencies in their own country, and there was only one way for them to escape that, and that was precious metals.
Yep.
And that's how they hedged through that. It wasn't by flopping through every currency that they shoved out. You know, it was taking every piece of currency that they got and putting it into a precious metal, something that would sustain, something that they could carry on a boat, you know, to the new world and start a new life with.
And once metals became unobtainium, then they still just looked for anything physical, right? Like you buy up brooms as fast as you can because you can, those are useful in some way. You can, sweep the house with that or sell it to somebody else that needs to sweep their house. So, like you hear about these, these stories where people are buying up whatever little ridiculous thing, but our Treasury Secretary of the U.S. said that bicycles were a great investment for his grandmother and whatever hyperinflation she was going through. And he's like, yeah, it was a great investment. Like anything physical, but the best out of any of those things, what we still have while it's still cheap today is this silver and gold here. And
might as well jump to the good stuff, right?
Exactly. Get into the good while you can.
Any metal, because the world is built with metal. So I mean, that's how you have cities. Yes. Metal. So you got it. Any metal is a good investment.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, and spend your cash while it's worth something. Spend it while it's worth something, man. Just get it out here. When it comes in, get it out.
Right, because the longer you sit on it, the least it's worth.
I mean, and everything's cheaper today than it will be tomorrow. So it's just the way it is. It's cheaper to buy your truck, your house, your land, your water, your food, whatever it is. It's cheaper to do it today than it will be tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's another good point to leave off on. Like I have a great big water tank that I have a bunch of filtered, clean filtered water is full in that thing. I keep it full. And that will and stored food, canned food. You don't want to have to turn around and spend your silver and gold on water or food because it will get expensive. So it's
clean water could become the ultimate thing to have.
Yes. So, all those things are, and get yourself, I have a gravity fed filter too, in case the power's out or whatnot. And, you need to collect, you need a good clean depending on what density fed water feeder, however you want to look at that. But, so get your basics covered and then just have fun. It's the time we're living in. We're not going to get out of it. So, definitely try to enjoy yourself too. But it's going to get serious. So pay a little bit of attention. And then if we all had a good footing, then they can't just push you around immediately and make you jump when they say jump. And that's what we need. We need some, the ability to give them the finger.
Yep. Agreed. Good note.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to my panelists for coming and joining me, keeping me company. Thank you so much, everybody out there in chat. Greatly appreciate it. Well, speaking of Tiger.
Yeah, speaking of the Tiger and the Tiger Glove, he's just come in.
Last second.
Good to see you, Tiger. We're just wrapping up here, but glad you popped in.
Have to get you guys
for the next one, Tiger. I need to get you on here, and we'll talk this same subject and see.
He needs to watch us on rerun because it was a pretty good show. So I just thought I'd tell him that.
He has an occasional good show, doesn't he? He's had me on a couple times, so you got a couple right there. So
that's Emmy material right there.
Yeah, you guys are great, chat.
All right, thanks everybody. We will catch you all on the next one. All right, I'll call you, Tiger. Thanks, guys.
Later, everybody.
Bye.